Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cinema Lives for April 7th, 2026. And this is episode 6. And today, the main review is The Drama, directed by Christopher Borgli of Norway, and distributed by A24, produced by A24, produced by Ari Aster and Lars Nunsden, and starring Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. And I was really excited for this movie. I was going into the theater pumped. I had loved the trailers. I love the people involved. I really enjoyed Dream Scenario, which was Christopher Borgli's previous film. So going into this one, I was very intrigued on what the secret that was being teased in the trailers was going to be. The movie basically is about Robert Pattinson and Zendaya sort of meet and fall in love and are going to get married. And the movie takes place leading up to their wedding. And it also stars Alana Haim, who is featured in the movie. So they all sit down, and when they're trying and tasting some stuff for their weddings, Robert Pattinson, Zendaya, Alana Haim, and her partner, and they're tasting stuff for the wedding, trying wines and all kinds of different foods. And eventually the conversation comes up, what is the worst thing you've ever done? And they all go around the table and share the worst thing they ever did. And I don't think I'm going to go into full spoilers for this, but Zendaya eventually reveals the worst thing she ever did, and it's very heavy and very intense. And there's been a lot of controversy just about sort of the handling of the subject matter. It kind of threw off the tone for me in terms of enjoying it. It still is a very funny movie. I love Robert Pattinson's performance. I thought Zendaya was great in it. Alana Haim is good, but she's very unlikable in the movie. And yeah, it just, once Zendaya sort of reveals that secret, it just created sort of a tonal imbalance. And especially as it dives into some flashbacks from the period of her life where she did this thing, when she would have been like about 15 or so. And it just felt really heavy. And when the rest of the movie is pretty comedic, and it still gets into some awkward scenarios and just cringe humor that I enjoyed. The final sequence of the wedding is very good. It's also reminiscent of some films like The Celebration, which I was heavily reminded of, and I would highly recommend that film. That's an amazing movie by Thomas Vinterberg. And yeah, I don't have too many things to say about it. Overall, I was very excited for it. I was left with a kind of a bitter taste in my mouth from the subject matter and the handling of it. But at the same time, it was thought-provoking. It does make you think a lot about, what somebody did, and if they have to hold the weight of something they did for the rest of their lives, if it's something they thought about, or if it matters how close they got, or, versus something that somebody actually did. And, and just, it's interesting to think about how people live with these things, or that we all carry kind of secrets around with us that are dark, and, it's varying degrees. And, it's certainly a thought-provoking film, and I was challenged by it, and overall, I'm obviously glad I watched it, but, I'm not rushing to rewatch it or anything. So I would probably give it a 3.5 out of 5. That's basically all I had to say about that movie. That's the movie of the week, The Drama. And my other stuff I watched with my movie group that I meet up with every 2 weeks here in Seattle, I watched a movie called Ancient Evil 2. I think an alternate title is Anubis Rising, and this was a very low-budget movie that was picked by someone in the group as sort of a so bad it's good WTF watch. And at first I was like, not into it and was thinking like this is gonna be absolutely brutal, and it is an absolutely brutal and awful movie. But as it went along, it was pretty fun to laugh with everybody at the stuff going on in the movie and the filmmaking on display. And when I first looked up this movie, when it was revealed what we were going to be watching, it only had like 11 reviews. There's hardly any evidence out there that this movie even exists, although there is some. But this is a very little seen movie that would have been found somewhere in... It came out in 2005. It would have been found somewhere in the mid-2000s at the bottom of a bargain bin on DVD. But it reminded me a lot of shot-on-video horror, what would have been on the time, shot-on VHS horror of the 80s that was made to directly market and sell in video stores. And it reminded me a lot of that kind of thing, but like, you know, shot on digital video in the mid-2000s and made to sell on DVD. But, yeah, it was comparable to some terrible movies I've seen, like Hogzilla, starring Joe Bob Briggs, and it gave me Birdemic vibes a little bit, but I wouldn't recommend it in terms of, you know, I wouldn't recommend to watch by yourself, but I would recommend if you have a group of people to watch Ridiculous So Bad It's a Good movie with, it might be enjoyable in that sense. But I would give that movie a 1 out of 5, but I did enjoy parts of it. It was funny overall. I also watched Ghost Elephants, directed by Werner Herzog, which is now on Hulu and Disney+. This is his new documentary, and this feels like mint classic Herzog. I absolutely loved it. It has incredible photography of the elephants. It's about this man going out into the wilderness, sort of trying to find these remote subspecies of elephants that are massive and that really haven't been seen in a very long time, if ever, by man, and sort of just trying to capture videos of them. And, you know, they go to links where they try to capture it even on grainy cell phone cameras, like on cheap cell phones, but just trying to find some footage that these elephants still exist, these massive elephants. There's a scene at a museum at the beginning where they show this massive, you know, bigger than any elephant that's a part of this species. They have like the bones there, but yeah, so they find some of these elephants, and yeah, it's just a great nature documentary, like probably one of the better ones I've ever seen. But like, you know, Werner Herzog has an incredibly rich filmography full of amazing nature documentaries, like Encounters of the End of the World and Grizzly Man and so on. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I wish I would have got to see it in the theater. It was playing here in Seattle at the Grand Illusion at Civ Film Center. And I wish I would have went to that, but I watched it at home. But it's, so far, it's my favorite movie that's been released this year. And yeah, it's at the top of my list right now. There'll probably be something that comes along that will unset it, but I loved it. I would give it a 5 out of 5. And my final movie is WALL-E, and I hadn't seen this movie in 18 years. I don't think I had seen it all the way through since I saw it in the theater when it came out, when I would have been 14. I was just counting up there, but yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I had the same issues I had with it back then even. It's weird because I hadn't seen it in 18 years, but it's stuck in my memory like completely, aside from some little bits. But yeah, it's just a very memorable classic movie, obviously. I was still in a sort of sci-fi mood after Project Hail Mary, and Project Hail Mary has sort of WALL-E vibes and bits. And yeah, I love the opening. I love everything before, you know, WALL-E finds the ship that the humans are on. Not that I dislike the ship stuff, but I think it kind of takes a dip there. But I love the stuff that's sort of just silent film, almost wordless storytelling, and not like just telling it through. Like there's some hints at words, robots will say little weird kind of semi words, but like, yeah, like the beginning of it, or the first big chunk, is almost like a Charlie Chaplin film or something. And I love that, and I think we should have more of that kind of thing. But obviously it was a prescient film with a message that still matters. And yeah, I mean, WALL-E's a classic. Everybody should watch it. I think I would give it a 4 out of 5, but which may seem a little light, but I don't know. That's just sort of what it feels like to me. I'm sure I will go back and watch it again sometime in the future, but I do enjoy WALL-E, and I think it has a Criterion DVD, one of the few Disney films, like straight up Disney classics, that's on Criterion. So you can find that. I say Criterion DVD, but I think it's on, well, certainly on Blu-ray. I don't know about 4K, but it might be. Anyway, that's about it. Next week, I think the plan is, I certainly am going to be talking about Faces of Death. I'm excited to see that from the director of How to Blow Up a Pipeline. I think his name is Daniel Goldfather, or something like that. Not pronouncing his last name right, I'm sure, but I actually haven't seen his previous movie, but I want to go back and watch that before I see this Faces of Death remake. And obviously it's, it's a remake of the, well, not really, it's a reimagining, reappropriation of the original shockumentary from the 70s, Faces of Death. But yeah, I'm excited to see that next week. But until then, if you like my stuff, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cinema Lives. I have a podcast feed. You can look up Cinema Lives with an exclamation mark on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you find podcasts and subscribe to that. And you can look up my Patreon if you'd like to support the channel and help me grow, and subscribe to that if you'd like. You can subscribe for as low as like $3. That's patreon.com/cinemalives. And until next week, guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.